What is going on, UFC card lovers? Welcome back here to my channel, UFC Card Talk. But joining me once again for our seventh installment of our card collabs. It is Zach, one half of the beautiful boys over there at Box Alarm Trading. How you going, Zach?
Doing good, man. Happy to be back.
It's always a good time when we get together and do these collabs. As per usual, we will be having all of our fan favorite segments. But I thought what would be relevant to start off this episode, because this news has came out since our last collab. It is the new release that UFC Tops Midnight will be coming out. There's no release date as yet, no checklist as yet. They have already sold out all the pre-ordered hobby boxes and hobby cases. The hobby boxes pre-order price was $299, while the cases, 12 boxes in the case, were for 3,200-ish mark. Zach, have you had any time to look at the designs? I'm not familiar at all before this news of a Topps Midnight set or what even was. Never heard of it. I'd actually had been expecting Museum was going to be up next. Topps pulled
hmm
this one out of their back pocket. What
hmm
is your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I thought, I kind of had the same thought as you. Like, why did we not get an established brand? So I was trying to cross-reference designs and whatnot. This is the first time they've ever had a Topps Midnight product. Like, that does not exist in any other sport. So this will be the debut set for it, for its entirety across every sport. So whether that's good or bad, that'll be yet to be seen until we get some more information and some more designs. But I believe I checked today. I think the release date is 5/15, so a couple weeks from now. But like, who knows? They might push that back like they did with Topps Chrome. I just wanted to start by saying how insane is it that in the pre-order they're asking $300 for this product and they gave us zero information. They didn't even tell us how many cards were in a pack or how many packs were in a box. Like it was all we got was three autos whenever the pre-order dropped. How is that possible? And it sold out. So
Yeah, I think the breakers, I've got to assume at this point it's the breakers who are
yeah.
buying all this product because they don't really care what the product is because they're pretty confident that when it gets released, if they have the supply, then they're going to get it sold through their breaks, whether it be on eBay or whatnot, or wherever they, Fanatics Live, wherever they're doing their breaking. So they're pretty confident that whatever the buying price is, they are going to get those spots filled for them. There was stated on their website it is 100 card set. So obviously not every
hmm
fighter will be a part of this release. They will be having, I think, some older past legend fights as well. So not all modern day fighters. That is another thing that we are pretty familiar with UFC cards.
hmm
I actually did thought I did type in Topps Midnight. I will have to double check this after we jump off, and I can put it up on the screen here if I find something different. But I actually thought I have seen baseball Topps Midnight for baseball. I found some cards on eBay, but as I said, I'll be putting this up on the screen right now if I do find any designs. But design wise, what were you
Yeah,
th
I need to check it out because I didn't see any. I saw Topps Chrome Black. That was like the only one that I could see. But yeah, I need to check out the baseball if they have those.
they've only released a few images. I think there's five in total that I've seen between Beckett and then also on the Topps website for the designs. But once again, the designs they're pretty funky. I would say my description from what I've seen so far of what Topps Midnight looks like, it looks like if they filmed the Matrix movies in the Arizonian desert. That's what you get.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your initial thoughts
I was
on the
thinking
design?
GTA Vice City. That's what I was getting from
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Like
okay.
midnight skyline, you got the neon,
The
So
neon
yeah, we're
lights,
kind of on the
yeah.
same page with that.
Yeah. No, I was very surprised to see and hear this. And then, as I said, for it to be a relatively new product, even if it has, as I said, we'll be able to confirm that later on. But even if it is, we have seen it before with other sports. It is somewhat of a relatively new set. So it's interesting to see why they've then backed up Chrome with this release as well. Where are they standing with UFC cards at the moment? It's sort of a little bit like yeah, it's I think it's leaving a lot of questions there to be answered, which hopefully get answered over the next 12-ish months because Topps announcing the license when they did at the start of the year, it did seem like for these products to be coming out, obviously they had planned towards the back end of last year, maybe to get these products out this year, but I think it's fair to say some of these products could be a little bit rushed. Obviously, Chrome was delayed initially, not by much, but it
Hmm.
did have that initial delay. And then we're getting these newish products that we don't even know as UFC collectors and people in the UFC community if we even want these cards or like these cards. I think maybe they're going to gauge how our reaction is to this. They're probably watching right now.
Yeah,
But
I feel like we're guinea pigs right now with
we
with
are.
this.
So it's going to, I think, for me to make a full assessment of how Tops are handling the license moving forward, I think to be fair to them, they're going to need at least another 12, 18 each months, 18 months to see what they have. Obviously, they're going to have had the Tops UFC license over a year by the time of the start of 2025. So 2025, I would imagine we will be seeing, obviously, we'll see Chrome again, I would imagine, and then maybe they could start bringing back some of these legacy products that we are hoping and crossing our fingers that we're going to be seeing stuff like Bloodlines, stuff like Museum, stuff like
Hmm.
Finest. But yeah, definitely surprise, not only for me, but I think for everyone. And it's going to be interesting to see how everyone reacts when these cards are ripped open when we do get these people opening the new boxes, and then obviously how they sort of how they sell on the secondary market on eBay and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean this is a risky rip. So like I'm still kind of on the fence on if I want to get this product or not, just because if it's 7 cards per pack, 1 pack in a box, like you do get 3 autos, but in order to get your 300 or 400 bucks back, you really need to get like almost 100 per auto. That seems that seems pretty slim unless you get like a rookie or like a super low numbered parallel. It does not seem like it's going to be a lot of value in that. But I mean, like you said earlier, the 100 fighter checklist, that could be pretty legit depending on who they put in this, and depending on how many rookies they put in this. But yeah, I don't know if I'm seeing them for like 380 to 450 on eBay for like the resell or whatever. That seems way too high. So I'm hoping, once Topps comes, lets these be open to the public, maybe it's low 300s, but who knows, man.
What are we speculating right here now, 28th of April as we film this? What are we
Hmm.
going to have? Are they going to be sticker autos? Or are we going to actually have our first on-card autos for 2024?
I think it'll be a mix. I think there'll be some stickers. Hopefully there's some on card as well. But I feel like the precedent, it's already been set, like they're gonna put sticker autos in even these higher end sets, like as we saw with, some of the 2022 and 23 Immaculates. I think that's just gonna be kind of how it is from now on. Hopefully I'm wrong, but what about you? What are you thinking?
Obviously, you would hope, as I said, if especially if they are having it as a more premier product, a higher end product at 300 for pre-order per box, you would hope that they are going to be sort of upping the ante for people, especially if it's going to be obviously maybe as you suggested, 7 card, 1 pack box. You would think they were going to put, although there'll be 3 autos, you would think you would want them to be on card autos because that's what we sort of
Yeah,
are all desiring and all hoping for when we do think of higher end products. I feel like if they were on card autos, they would have written that in the description on the actual website
true.
when reading the little hypnosis on the actual pre-release of the product. They would have noted featuring on card autos of your favorite fighters instead of just featuring autos. So
Hmm.
as I said, still could be proved to be wrong. At this point, we won't know till the product's release and then there's a checklist and we get more information. But I'm probably expecting them to be all sticker autos at this point, which is obviously an initial disappointment for everyone, I think, at this early stage. But we'll wait and see what happens.
But cross our fingers and hope for the best.
That's all we can do.
Hmm.
All right, it's our fan favorite segment. It is the very, very popular and somewhat criticized segment,
Oh yeah.
Trash, Hold, Sell. Now, I thought I would take a different direction for this episode. In previous episodes, we have picked not only different fighters, but then different cards, whether they're
Hmm.
autograph cards, different autograph fighters. But I thought for this episode, make it a little bit more interesting, take out a little bit less of the variables in it, and I'm going to be choosing all the three same card. And they are going to be three different fighters, but all the exact same card, exact same parallel. So for this episode, I have chosen first up, we do have the 2021 Gold Prism for the man of the hour, the man who was just going gangbusters on Hollywood. And not only that, he is going to be returning to the Octagon June 29th against Michael Chandler in an absolute epic battle. It is Conor McGregor, and it is, as I said, his 2021 debut Gold Prism, number to 10. And then we also have his arch rival, the man who made him look a little bit silly in the Octagon, other than the third round. The man who there was so much build up to that fight. It is Khabib Nurmagomedov. It is his 2021 Gold Prism from Panini. And then we're going to finish it off with another 2021 Gold Prism from another guy who, arguably the best of all time, the greatest fighter we've ever seen walk this earth, but it is a little bit questionable how he is of a human being. But it is the Gold Prism 2021 for your man, John Jones, John Bones Jones. So it is those three debut year gold Panini Prisms that you have to choose one. You have to throw one in the trash. You've got to put one up for sale on your eBay, and then you need to hold
Hmm.
one in your PC and put it up on that shelf there behind you. What are your picks?
Yeah, I liked this idea this week. You're not really nitpicking the design too much. You don't have much variance in the design. So it was really like on two things. It was one, it was the fighter, and it was the images that we got. So this was a fun exercise this week. So they're all three beautiful cards, great
Oh,
shine.
I will.
All
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna. I did forget to. Sorry, before you continue on, I did forgot to mention the pricing, the recent pricing that we have had, the recent sales for each of these cards for what it's worth. The Conor McGregor Gold Prism 2021 in a PSA 10 recently sold for $14,400, while the John
Wow,
Jones
really?
in an SGC 9.5 sold for $2,760. And the Khabib Nurmagomedov PSA 10 2021 Gold Prism as I said, that one was a PSA 10 as well. That one's selling for slightly under the Connors for 11,400. Sorry, Zach, you can continue
That
on.
is a huge variance. That I'm glad you said that. I really had no idea that Habib and Jones were that varied. Man, I wonder. I have to check popularity stats on these guys, but I would have thought Jones would be a lot closer. But whenever, his cards are a little bit older, so maybe that's reflected in the value a little bit. But yeah, I liked all three of these cards. We'll start with the Bones. What I like about that one, it is a really nice action shot of him kind of doing like some either a side kick or like a spin kick. I'm not sure why we don't see more shots like this. I mean, there's so much cool striking and grappling that goes on. I would really love to see more images like this. But for me, as a Jones collector, like this, the Panini era to me, for whatever reason, is just not really. I mean, there's so many good cards of his in tops. You've got, his rookie stuff. You got his first autos. You got on-card autos. That was really when he was like the guy. I mean, he's still kind of the guy, but like back then, that was when he was at the peak of his powers. So whenever it comes to somebody like that, this card just doesn't really do that much for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and trash the greatest of all time in this segment. But
That's
I think
surprising.
I think of the three, the horizontal and just Bones having some more sought after cards in the Topps era, I think I'm gonna have to trash that. The McGregor, now this has a lot of eye appeal in this card. He's doing like the Billy strut. This
Vince
image
McMahon.
was used,
Hmm.
yeah, the Vince McMahon Billy strut. He's using this in like I think they did it in the 2019 Tops. One of those had this same image, but it was horizontal. But this one's vertical, so it looks really good. he's coming off like an Oscar-worthy performance with Roadhouse. Like you said, he's gonna fight Michael Chandler. I think, or fingers crossed, he fights Michael Chandler. I think this is a perfect time to sell on Conor, especially if you've got any nice cards. 14,000, dude, that's insane that this sold for that. But I'm going with McGregor on the sell, and I'm going to go ahead and keep the 21 gold Habib. Now, this is probably one of my favorite action images that Habib has. You have the one of him choking Connor in the Immaculate on card, which looks really nice. And then you have this one where he's like setting up that mounted triangle on Gaethje. And like that's the type of photography that I really enjoy is the action photography like this. Also, I remember watching this fight, so there's a little bit of nostalgia there. And it's not vertical, which is not the greatest, but since it's such a good shot, I'm going to go ahead and hold the Habib the Eagle.
All right. That is a little bit surprising. As someone I know you strongly, I wouldn't say strongly collect, I won't put words in your own mouth, but I do know you do favor John Jones when it does come to some of your
Hmm.
PC cards. So for you to throw his card in the trash, that was definitely surprising for me. Um, but yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that you're keeping Habib. I love all your points about choosing like your favorite imagery more so than the card itself or potentially the value. I myself have gone a sort of similar route, but once again, there are some differences between our own preferences and opinions. But I'll start with the trash because that's obviously the easiest one to start with. And all I can say is now there are only 8 gold prisms now for John Jones in 2021 because there are 2 in the trash, your copy, and then my copy is now sitting in the trash. When choosing sort of how I was going to choose these cards for this episode round, keeping the same card as opposed to keeping it different fighters, different cards, it made me realize how biased that you can sort of be when choosing between cards or fighters. So once again, I just don't. I appreciate John Jones as he is as a fighter. He's obviously a great fighter, but somewhat of what I feel like he is as a human being, I just don't want don't want anything to do with his cards. So it's a gold prism, but it's going in the bin because there's 2 other gold prisms to choose now from. We have Conor McGregor and now we have Khabib. 2 completely different personalities. Couldn't get further apart from personalities. Both super popular in the octagon. You did mention about not knowing about the popularity between Khabib and John Jones. I think John Jones, last I checked or heard, he had somewhere around, I think, 7 or maybe max 9 million followers on Instagram, where Khabib has 20 plus. So he has like
Wow,
double the
man.
followers of what John Jones does. That's neither here nor there in choosing these cards, but for my sell, I am going to be selling the Habib. Basically, I do prefer vertical cards, no secret. So that's not the only deciding factor. But choosing a long-term hold, I think as much as Habib was great, I think he's a little bit I think he's going to be a little bit more subjected to sort of fading away as the years go on. If you compare him to somewhere like GSP has sort of stayed a lot more around the sport over the years since retiring, and I think that's kept him and his legacy a little bit more relevant. Where I think Habib, obviously, just the man that he is, obviously utmost respect for what his decision was to leave the sport when he did and keep it at 29-0, but I think he and his legacy will sort of more diminish with time. There are sort of some critics who will put his record up there in public and sort of talk about his record before getting into the UFC. And then even my own opinion, I don't think he is half as popular as what he is today if he doesn't have that Conor fight. And then speaking about Conor, 2021 Gold Prism, debut year for Panini Prism. I have learned to appreciate Panini Prism, especially the debut year, more as time's gone on. I think Panini only having the license for 3 years at this point, and probably will stay that way for at least the next 10 or 15 years. I think that's that'll be more appreciated with time. The first year is always the most appreciated and historic product. So, in saying all that, I think Conor McGregor, regardless of what he wins or loses in the octagon, he at the moment that movie was like it was a fun watch if you like trashy like
Hmm.
action karate martial arts movies like a lot of us probably do who watch the UFC, but acting wise, obviously it was absolute trash. But that was the most downloaded movie on Amazon Prime of all time today. So
It was a hit, man.
so, and I don't think that's because of Jake Gyllenhaal, to be fair.
Mhm.
So I think that goes to show where Conor McGregor is right now, and I think, I mean, besides maybe going out there and murdering someone, there isn't a whole lot that McGregor can do that can just absolutely like he's already had these bad things outside of the cage and he sort of bounced back from them enough. Obviously, you can only do that so many times, but keeping the fingers crossed that he keeps his nose clean moving forward. I think
Yeah, pun
I
intended.
pun intended. I think that he's only going to appreciate in popularity as the years go by. So I think that is a better card of those two to hold on with. That was a long way to get
Okay.
to my answer, but that's where I'm at right now. And visually, I do.
Yeah.
I think the McGregor, as you said, like the Billy Strap, I think that is a very, very iconic image. And especially being on an iconic debut year, Gold Prism, that's the one I want to have for the next 20 years.
Yeah, I agree with most of that. The one thing I will push back on is Habib fading out from the sport. So I think when I think of him, I think he has some good things going for him in that he has Islam in a very dominating title reign, and him and Islam will always be interconnected. You also have Umar coming up. Him and Umar will always be connected. And you also have Usman, who's not even in the UFC yet, who has potential to also be a champ. There is a future where you have Islam, Umar, and Usman all being champs in the UFC. I think even if Umar or Usman become a champ, I think those guys will it's only going to elevate his name more and keep him relevant as time goes on, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, they're all good points for sure. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll come back when we're on collab episode 107. We'll have to come back to this.
Exactly.
We'll clip this out and we'll see who's right. Next up, Zach, we have one of the favorites as well. It is agree or disagree. I have brought the statement to the table this week, and I have chosen the statement for this week is AI grading will never ever be super popular in the hobby because people want the human grading aspect so they have a higher chance of getting gem mint 10s for their cards because if AI grading becomes the norm, there is no way that you can resubmit a card ever. There is a higher chance that these programs that they use for AI grading, they are going to be finding every single flaw and scratch and nick and dent and panini dimple on every single card that gets submitted, which can sometimes be overlooked for a human grader. And let's face it, I would put out there that 80% of people who grade cards, that they're not doing it for the PC. They are doing it because they are chasing value for resale. So they want the highest chance of a 10. So therefore, they do not want these AI programs doing their grading because there's less likely they're going to get a 10. So once again, the statement AI grading will never be a thing because people want human grading in order to get a higher chance of a gem mint 10. What's your thoughts, Zach? Agree or disagree?
Oh, man, so this was a good one. Honestly, not something I had ever really thought about. I think you're spot on with majority of people seem to be grading to flip and they're grading to try and get tens, right? To recoup some of that money from the buy. So I think the question on that would be like, is the AI grading going to provide more tens or less tens? I don't know if we have like enough data yet because I think tag is really the leader when it comes to the AI grading and the transparency. So I didn't really dig into any of the numbers there, but that could kind of give you, somewhat of some data points to look on to see whether that's true or not. but I have sent in some to PSA and I did receive some gems that I was like, that is surprising. I mean, obvious, some type of defects on there. We've seen some of them online with the centering looking pretty wonky that have received tens. So I think I'm going to agree. And, the amount of cards that are getting graded is kind of slowly, steadily decreasing. We see that the PSA 10 premium that what was once like, 2 or 3x is kind of slowly coming down. So I do think that people will tend to gravitate towards different companies at this point because we're seeing the fluctuation in the prices with PSA. And maybe that means that more people will go to tag and kind of try AI grading. So I, I hope that AI grading becomes more of a thing because we need to unify, we need the transparency that comes with these graded cards that the people like Tag are doing. So I hope that more people will go towards AI, but because of the reasons that we talked about, I agree, and I don't necessarily think that it will be the standard.
Yeah. No, like you put it completely perfectly how my opinion as well. I would like for AI grading to be the standard because it really is something that like I don't understand how people they get nines and then they'll crack it out and they resend it and then the next time and they'll get a 10. And they're only doing that in order to, as we mentioned, get the value of the 10 so they can go ahead and resell it and keep the process rolling. And I think even if PSA were to start using AI grading, I'm as I said, we're not engineers here to know the actual process of how AI grading works, what sort of accuracy those programming has. We do know that Tag do have a full report that they give you on each and every single card, and they guarantee you that if you were to crack that card out and resubmit it, that you would get the exact same point grade again, because their grading scale is on, I think it's over 100 points or 1,000 points or something.
I think it's 1,000, which
So
is
yeah,
very impressive.
so you're very impressive. You get a full printout of like, as I said, full report, which is great, and that is the standard of what grading should
Hmm.
be. And
Yep.
I would hope that that would be the future, but I can't help but feel like most people, as I said, aren't getting cards graded because they want the best condition to have and hold in their PC. They're literally getting
Hmm.
cards graded to add value to then sell onwards to someone else. And I feel like that keeps the whole ecosystem going. And PSA are smart enough to know if they start bringing in this technology as they are the premier, most used grading service, if they start bringing AI grading and then people are getting lesser numbers of tens in their submissions, they're then on the back end making less money and therefore cannot make money to keep resubmitting and keeping the whole process going. So I feel like PSA is smart enough to know they'd be shooting themselves in the foot if they were to bring this in. How far Tag can go and make an imprint in the hobby is obviously something that will be interesting to follow along. As an international collector, I think Canadian Tag is a Canadian based grading company, are they? Do you know that for sure?
No,
Or
I'm not sure where they're where
I
they're
got it.
from.
I actually have a feeling they're Canadian based. It makes it super difficult for, I think, even like international collectors like myself to then obviously try and get the process of having cards graded with tag. I would like to do the process one time just to see what it's like and
Hmm.
get the whole report back and just have that whole experience and to be able to make a stronger opinion on it. But yeah, as for this topic, for that statement, obviously I was the one who came up with it. So I, yeah, 100% agree. I don't think that AI grading in the way that the hobby is at the moment, obviously things evolve, times change, but for now, right now, I don't think AI grading has a place in the hobby for the pure fact that you're not going to be getting the tens and therefore you're not getting the value and therefore you're not getting as many submissions and nobody's making any money and money makes the world go around. So, all right, it is time now. Straight into it. We are into pay-per-view buys. So before we get into our UFC 301, which we could talk about that in its own little segment in a minute, because that pay-per-view was absolute trash. But UFC 300 recap, I can start off. I did buy the Alexander Rakic. It was the 2020 striking signatures It was the sticker auto dump. It was the orange number 250. It did have his full auto on it. Unfortunately, I bought that card a little bit too late, so I did not receive that in time to be able to list it out. Because if I had listed it out, and for example, if he had a one, I would have not been able to fulfill that order for probably two
Mm-hmm.
and a half weeks, which would have just been an absolute eBay disaster. So I didn't end up
Mm-hmm.
listing that card. I did list some uh, Holloway cards and some Jim Miller cards, which people would have seen on my UFC 300 video that I did. No surprise, Jim Miller. I thought he was going to get a little bit more action on his cards and things just throughout the fight week. I thought they would have highlighted more about, being the only fighter ever to be UFC 100, 200. He won both of those events and then potentially winning UFC 300. Hopefully he fights again UFC 400. But
I hope not. He's good.
no love for his cards. Nothing on that end. Only crickets. Max Holloway, on the other hand, super impressive performance. One of the most historic knockouts the UFC has had in their 30-year history. And I think that knockout will be played over and over again, at least for the next 10
Mm-hmm.
years. He had a fantastic performance. I did have a few prisms, orange prisms listed for Max Holloway. The PSA 9 in 2021, that one was listed. I think it had a few watches, had a few views. That was listed to buy it now. Didn't get any action on that one, no offers or anything. But my 2022 Orange Prism had it up. 22 Orange Prism, as I said, it was listed for $30. Buy it now. After he won the event, I did have one person send me an offer for $21. I am denied about it. It actually was more than what I paid for the card initially, so it is technically a win. But I was like, man, this is a nice card. It is probably worth more than $21 right now, but I did see the buyer was from Honolulu, Hawaii. So
Mm.
I had to hook them up, and I accepted the offer. I didn't even counter offer. I thought, you know what, this person, Honolulu, Hawaii, they must be buying this card for a part of their collection. So had to let it go. As I said, I made a little bit of money as well. So everyone was happy at the end of the day. That's my win little story for UFC 300. How did you go, Zach?
UFC 300. I was trying to cash in on the Bo Nickel hype train, man, and I got, let's see, I had 16 views and one watcher. I was hoping he would put on a little bit more of a crazy knockout, maybe another knockout or like a ground and pound. The way he's a great wrestler. He swarms people on the ground. He has great control, but the way he's been finishing guys has not really been that spectacular in my opinion, especially with the caliber of guy like against Brundage. No disrespect, but I mean Bo did what he should have did. Yeah, I priced it at 125, didn't sell. I've dropped it down to about 110, and we'll see what happens. I'll probably just keep chipping it down a little by little and see if I can end up moving this, but still no sale on the Bo.
When are the moving people coming to pack all your stuff up, mate?
Hey, I
Have you
have
sold the
sold a
house
couple
yet?
other cards though. I've sold a couple other cards actually, so it has been a good month. But I can't move this bow, dude. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
nice.
there's too many up right now or what. But
Yeah, as you said, I think he wasn't happy with the performance himself. I don't know. As I said, Cody provided him with a little bit of problems that we haven't seen him. Obviously, he's only was that his fifth fight or something ridiculous anyway. His fifth pro fight, Bo Nickel.
yeah, yeah, it's like 5 or 6.
I
So I
mean,
mean,
yeah, I mean the fact he's even in
he's
this
so
position,
green.
yeah, the fact he's even in this position is pretty crazy. But heading into UFC 301, I'll let you start off first because I've got to gather my thoughts on this card. But obviously, initially not
Yeah, this
impressed. Where are you at? Have you
th
bought any cards for this event, or where are we sitting at? What are we doing for UFC 301 for the pay-per-view buyers segment?
Yeah, so this is what happens, right? When you have just an absolute stack fest like 300 was. Now you know that our next couple cards are probably not going to be so hot. And I think this is almost a testament that the UFC needs to, I don't know how they can do this, but they need to start scaling back on the frequency of events, maybe, or maybe not having like 5 prelims and then doing the main event because some of these cards are really getting lackluster as of late. But I actually have Alexandre Pantoja that I bought a while ago, which is the theme of the last couple
Yeah.
episodes. I'm trying to move some cards.
That's what
So
happens when you don't
I've
sell
got
anything.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
scrounging around your
Uh-huh.
shoebox there. What have I got here?
I got the 2020 Topps Alexandre Pantoja blue of 75 rookie card. So I mean, this is a pretty nice rookie. He is an exciting fighter. He's a scrapper. He pushes the pace. He can be a brutal finisher. I'm hoping if he has a win over Urseg, maybe I can sell this one for once. It's at a sell at buy it now at $50. So we'll kind of see what happens.
Yeah, well, who knows? This might be the event where you're surprised. The one where you actually don't expect to make anything. You'll probably have someone offer you double what you're selling it for, but
Right.
we can only hope so. Stop those repo
Mhm.
men from coming over. But I myself, same thing. I'm breaking the rules a little bit here. I'm doing what Zach does. I'm putting a card up for sale that I already had previously. It is
Hey, that
Ant
that's in the rules. That's in the rule book.
I don't know about that, but I'm gonna make up for it. I'm promising the people right here, right now. I'm gonna spend double the budget next time because I haven't spent anything this time around technically.
Nice.
So hopefully get something good next the UFC 302. But for this one, I do have the 2019 Anthony Smith Gold Museum rookie number to 75. As I said, bought this card a long while ago. Back when I almost was getting into the hobby, I was just trying to find fighters that I had a connection. I was trying to like make up these connections with fighters who, oh, I really like
Hmm.
that fighter. I think he's cool, and I'm
Hmm.
going to buy some of his cards because. And then as I said, grown out of that a little bit more as well. So don't really have any place for that card in the PC anymore. So I'm going to put that one up. Anthony Smith on a bit of a lost skid at the moment. He looks good sometimes, and other times he just I don't know, he just can't get his strikes off. He's got like 1,000 fights under his belt, 1,000 pro fights. He obviously has a super high IQ. He does very well when he's on the commentary team. If you hear him break down fights, he's very methodical about it. He's very strategic. So I do have some hope that maybe this might be the opponent that he gets the win over this time around. Obviously, he came off a ice skate performance against Khalil Roundtree, which is no knock to Anthony Smith because Khalil now Roundtree has been knocking down trees lately as well himself,
Hmm.
pushing up towards a title. But yeah, hopefully this is a fight where Anthony Smith can get back on the win column. But to be fair, I'm not hoping. I'm not crossing my fingers or holding my breath on this one because I think even if Anthony Smith got an impressive knockout, I don't think he's moving the needle for anyone where he is in his career right now.
Agreed, man.
All right. Last time I put out there, I should have put this in the front of the show too. We want questions, ladies and gentlemen. We want questions for us to answer. Didn't get any questions last time. And what I've decided to do is finish off this episode. I'm going to provide my own question because that's how desperate I am. I'm going to put it to you now, Zach, and the audience. Those who are still watching, let us know down in the comments below what your answer is to this because I think this is a great question. Pretty proud of myself. But the question is, if in 2025 we could have two companies holding the license for UFC cards, which other company alongside Topps would you hope to see have making licensed UFC cards? Think of companies like Upper Deck, think of companies like Leaf, think of companies like Wildcard, etc. Zach, who would you like to see potentially making also licensed UFC cards in 2025?
So this was a great question. So pat yourself on the back, Damien. Give yourself a round of applause. But I don't know if I would. I kind of had to approach this with, would I want two companies to have the license for UFC cards? And that kind of got me scratching my head and thinking the good would be one, there would be competition, right? So that might be able to drive prices down. Maybe they up their ante on their game a little bit. Maybe we get more on-card autos. Maybe they're putting a little more money into the budget when it comes to these. But then I think it would also do another thing in that it would oversaturate the market even further with cards. So do I want? I kind of think I wouldn't want two companies to have the UFC license. Is kind of what I came to. But what I thought, if it were going to happen, what company would I want to pick? And I was looking through some Upper Deck cards, just kind of perusing, seeing the kind of designs they have. There was really only a couple nice ones that I saw from them, and it was with a recent one with Tapuria. He has an auto with them, and he has a couple nice cards with some good shine and some good designs. I was checking the Leaf cards out, and I actually really like that they combine not only MMA and UFC cards, but also with boxing together. So it's more of like a combat sports card with like Tyson and Floyd and Habib. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and that was a fun one. They have some creative designs. They have a Conor and a Habib anime card that is pretty sick, and they're both limited runs. So that was pretty cool. And then you mentioned Panini as well. Maybe would could be hand in hand with Tops. And I do like the some of the inserts that they provided. You got the Kabooms, the Color Blast, the stained glass, the Asia Parallel. So there's some really nice looking cards from them as well. So I think I would pick if there was going to be two, I would probably pick Tops and Panini. I feel like that's the safe answer, but we did see some good looking cards from Panini, so that's who I would pick if we were going to have two licenses at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm a little bit on the other side. I'm not sure if I feel like it's pretty saturated already, and I agree. If you're bringing in, obviously, technically, you're going to be doubling the volume, or maybe if both companies could sort of find, because companies, they don't want to be printing so much product that it's just sitting on the shelves and no one's buying it. So maybe they're actually going to like lessen the production as well if they know that, hey, we have two
Yeah,
companies now. Maybe they
that's
don't
true. Limit the
maybe
checklist a little.
maybe they don't directly halve it, but maybe, we get 75% from one company and then the other company's making 50%. So we're only ending up with maybe 25, 50% extra what we already have now. I'm not a total, like we wouldn't ever know till we see it. And obviously it makes sense that, yeah, okay, the more supply that we have, then obviously the less demand that we're going to have as well. And they're going to be creating less pricing. But I'm not like, just me thinking about it now, I'm not 100% confident that that is actually what would happen. I think if we had two different companies doing two different things, as you said, it would increase competition between the both because then they do know that customer has the choice. The customer can choose.
Hmm.
And if I had to pick one, we did see Panini. I would like a bit of a break from Panini, maybe give Panini a bit of a break and bring in another company. I'm going to choose Upper Deck if I could choose between two different companies at the moment. So I would have Upper Deck and Tops. But think of it this way. I think if us as a customer could choose between one box on the shelf or another box on the same shelf, like companies, they're going to have to think about this a little bit more. As you said, it creates competition. It creates a little bit more like ingenuity. Okay, well, this is what we're going to
Hmm.
do. We want the company, we want the customer buying our product. We don't want them buying the other product. So I feel like not only would it increase competition, create a better product, I don't think that the products would be that much similar that it would create too much of a disturbance on the secondary market because the two cards would be two different, although they're licensed UFC cards, I feel like they would be being two different things. So either you like this or you don't. So I don't know if it would create that much less of a demand because like everything with collecting and buying cards, other when you speculate on rookies, it's all personal preference. So I feel like if you did have two different companies, I don't think, for example, you would have a number 99 card from Upper Deck and then a numbered 99 card from Tops Chrome, for example. I don't think because there's two of them to choose from. So technically, you've got 200 cards to choose from as opposed to 100. I don't think that technical double of supply for that serial number, I don't really think it means that you're halving the value. That might might not make a lot of sense to some people listening to it, but just me thinking about it now, I feel like if you were choosing between two different cards on eBay, for example, either you want that card or you don't, and there's only 99 copies of it. So it's no different from having an insert that looks completely different for another insert from the same company. So I feel like if we had two different companies doing two different completely different designs, I think there's room for both, and I think it would only help the product and then us as a customer on the back end with the actual competition that the two companies would have to be coming up with for them to actually win our money. So that was my thoughts on it. got completely lost in myself. So I'm not sure how many people just followed along with me right now, but hopefully some of you did. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I thought it was a cool little thing to come up with. And if you want to avoid this rambling on next time, write your own questions in the comments.
Yep.
That's a lesson
Down
of
below, give us some questions to answer.
give us some questions and answers. You don't have to listen to me next time around. Zac, before we end this one off, anything you want to finish up with? Anything you want to tell the people? Any upcoming videos?
I got a Leon Edwards PC video coming out. I got some really big cards in that. One of the main PC guys that I've been collecting for, years now. So it was fun to look back on those and kind of, see what all the years of collecting what I've been able to amass at this point. So I got some cool cards coming y'all's way.
Yeah, nice. It's obviously always fun to go through the PC and appreciate what you do have as opposed to what you might be looking to buy in the future. So
Hmm.
look forward to seeing that video because I do know you do have some cool Leon Edwards cards. Well, if you want to watch that video and many other great UFC content related videos, including their Austin, the Austin, Texas card show, that video had about what's it up to 2 million views now?
Oh, I wish, man. I think we stopped at the 2000. They said
Oh,
nobody's watching this long enough. We're
yeah,
done pushing it out.
yeah. Just the cool casual. Yeah, I think it stopped somewhere around 20 million. Yeah, no. If you go on, what I'm getting at, go and sub over to this guy's channel. Go and watch his videos. He's doing great things. Congratulations on the 600 subs as well. Man,
Thanks, man. You just hit 500 a couple weeks ago, right?
yeah, I did. So
That's big.
next week's video, guys, it has been a little bit delayed, but I will have the announcement of my 500 subs giveaway that will be in next week's episode for you people to stay through. But yeah, go and sub over this guy's channel and get in there quick before he gets to 1,000 because he really is going to remember his first 1,000 subs. So go over and sub to his channel right now. And then also you can see me ramble on his channel next time around as well when we do the UFC 302 collab for our videos together as well. So
Yep.
thanks as always, Zac. Great time. We'll see you again here next
Bye,
time.
everybody.
Bye.
See you next week.